Leave her alone or deal with me. The voice cut through the crowded cafeteria like a blade. Every head turned. A tall man in worn army fatigues stood in the doorway, his jaw clenched, eyes burning with a protective fire. The bully froze mid-sentence, his laughter dying as silence swallowed the room. Nobody expected a soldier, especially one clutching a lunch tray with trembling hands, to interfere in a high school spat. The soldier was Daniel, a single dad who had just returned from deployment overseas. He wasn't supposed to be here. He only came to drop off his daughter's forgotten lunch. But what he walked into turned his blood cold. Three boys towering over a small girl pressed against the wall, her books scattered on the floor. She looked fragile, almost breakable, her knuckles white as she tried to hold back tears. "Pick it up yourself, loser," the bully sneered, about to shove her again. But Daniel's glare rooted him to the spot. The soldier stepped forward, slow but deliberate, like he'd faced worse than this 1,000 times. "Apologize," Daniel growled. The boys muttered excuses and backed away, their bravado melting into shame. The cafeteria erupted in whispers, phones raised, videos already spreading online. The girl whispered, "Thank you," her voice trembling. Daniel knelt, gathering her books gently. He noticed the bruises on her wrist, the way she flinched at every sound. "Don't thank me," he said softly. "No one deserves to be treated like that." She looked at him for the first time, her eyes wide with shock. No one had ever stepped in for her before. Later that evening, Daniel's daughter Emily confronted him. "Dad, do you even know who she is? That's Claire Hartman, the CEO's daughter. Her dad owns half the companies in this city." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "And? She's just a kid who needed help." But Emily shook her head. "No one ever stands up for her because of who her dad is. People are either scared or jealous. You don't get it." For Daniel, everything about this moment struck deep. Back in Afghanistan, he had made a promise to his dying friend. Look after the ones who can't fight for themselves. That vow had carried him through sleepless nights, through battles he never thought he'd survive. And now, standing in his small kitchen with his daughter, he realized, sometimes the battlefield was closer to home than he thought. Days passed, but the incident wouldn't die. The video of Daniel protecting Claire went viral. Some praised him as a hero. Others mocked him for trying to play soldier in a school cafeteria. But Daniel didn't care. All he cared about was the girl's haunted eyes, the same eyes he'd seen in soldiers who'd lost too much. One afternoon, as he picked Emily up from school, he noticed a sleek black car parked at the curb. A man in a tailored suit stepped out, flanked by security. It was Richard Hartman, the billionaire CEO, Claire's father. His cold stare locked on Daniel. "Are you the man who confronted those boys?" His tone was sharp, almost accusatory. "Yes, sir," Daniel replied firmly. "I couldn't stand by and watch a child get hurt." Richard studied him for a long moment, then said something no one expected. "Come with me." Inside the mansion that overlooked the city, Daniel found Claire curled up in the corner of a lavish room, her arms wrapped around herself like armor. The wealth around her meant nothing. Her loneliness screamed louder than the chandeliers above. Richard's voice cracked as he confessed, "I provide her everything money can buy, but I can't give her safety." "You did, with nothing but courage." That night, Claire finally opened up. She spoke of endless bullying, of kids calling her princess and spoiled brat, of friends who only stayed for her father's influence. She broke down as she whispered, "No one ever sees me for me." Daniel's chest tightened. He saw a mirror of himself, misjudged, misunderstood, carrying battles no one else could see. But then came the twist. The next day at school, one of the bullies returned, sneering louder than before. "So what if your soldier daddy saves you? You're still nothing without your rich daddy's money." But before Daniel could intervene, Claire stood tall. Her voice didn't shake this time. "I don't need anyone's money to know my worth." The cafeteria gasped. She turned to the boys, her confidence burning bright. "And I don't need cowards to tell me who I am." The room exploded in applause. Even teachers wiped tears as the bullies lowered their heads in shame. Daniel watched from the doorway, pride swelling in his chest. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about her finding her own strength. When Richard Hartman appeared later, he wasn't the cold CEO anymore. He extended his hand, his voice heavy with gratitude. "You didn't just protect my daughter, you reminded her who she is, and you reminded me what matters most." Daniel shook his hand, but his eyes went to Claire, smiling for the first time. Her spirit unbroken. The moral was clear. True strength isn't measured by wealth, power, or status. It's measured by the courage to stand up when no one else will. As Daniel walked home with Emily, she slipped her hand into his. "Dad, you're more than a soldier. You're a hero." He smiled, his heart finally at peace. For once, the battlefield had ended not in loss, but in victory. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.